This is the second time I've been here at Expo at Centre while you've been welcoming in people fleeing forest fires, and it really is a reflection of the extraordinary generosity, not just of people in Edmonton, but people right across the country, opening up their homes and their communities to people fleeing what has been an extraordinarily difficult summer. Cyril, thank you for all your leadership through the government of Alberta, is welcoming, supporting people as you've dealt with fires this summer as well, and continue to, being there to open up hearts and homes and communities to people fleeing horrific situations is really important, and a great example of how different orders of government can and will and must work together to be there to support people. And Caroline, thank you so much, not just for your leadership in the government of Northwest Territories, but also for being the local representatives, so many people from Yellowknife, and the conversations that we were able to have with some of your constituents and with folks who are facing just a real uncertain and scary time right now. And this is something we've seen right across the country this summer, from East Coast, the fires in Nova Scotia, to dealing with floods across the country, wildfires in just about every province across this country, terrible loss, increased extreme weather events. And all through it, we've seen Canadians step up. Obviously, first responders, firefighters, police, volunteers, Red Cross have been incredible in supporting and responding to people, but so have neighbors, being there for neighbors, people looking out for each other, supporting each other through incredibly difficult times. As I was speaking with a number of the evacuees, that sense of community is incredibly strong, even as people are worried about their homes and their community in Yellowknife. They're finding those moments to be together, to power through, to look out for each other and to support each other and talk about the challenges and the successes we're going to be building as individuals, as communities, and as a country in the coming years. In regards to the Northwest Territories, I've been in direct contact with the government of Northwest Territories, speaking directly with the Premier a couple of days ago, and staying in close contact as extremely difficult decisions are made. And I really want to recognize that the situation in Yellowknife that we're still hoping doesn't become the worst case scenario. The number of people who've been evacuated, who've been taking these incredibly long drives to get to safety, doing it in a thoughtful, orderly way, being there to help out each other and look out for each other, is really the best of not just what Canada is, but particularly people who live in the North, where the sense of community and looking out for each other is truly extraordinary. So I want to commend it, but obviously orders of government working together. The federal government is there with significant military assets. We're coordinating the air evacuations. We're making sure that we're there to respond to all the needs of community now, and will be there in the coming months and years as we look to keep people safe moving forward, even as we rebuild in places where there are terrible losses. We can't talk about fires right now without also recognizing that people in Kelowna are facing an extraordinarily scary afternoon right now. The fires there, the evacuation orders are extreme. It's moving very fast. It's important that people listen to all the best recommendations of the public safety and public health authorities on how to keep safe. The federal government is closely coordinating with the province of BC, and we will be there to add to whatever resources BC has. And we're all going to get through this incredibly difficult summer together. This is what Canadians do in difficult times, and it's something we're seeing from coast to coast to coast, and we will continue to be there for each other through these difficult moments. C'est un été extrêmement difficile.
It's an extremely difficult summer for people across the country, with wildfires and extreme climate more and more severe. People who have lost enormously, communities that were destroyed by fire across the country. Had a moment to sit with a few families in Yellowknife who are facing quite a challenge to come here safely, but they recognize the generosity of the people of Edmonton and the government of Alberta and the community who's there to help them. It's a very, very strong community in the north, and we know that people will be there for each other, and we as a government will continue to be there for them too. The federal government is there with coordination and resources and armed forces to help with the situation, continue to be there with the people. And I want to also recognize that the people of Kelowna are going through a terrible time right now too. So we're coordinating with the government of BC to support people, and I hope that everyone will do all they can to remain safe and look out for their neighbors, because this is what we're seeing across the country. Canadians, even in the hardest times, are there for each other and will continue to be. So we'll get through this extremely difficult summer, and we'll learn, and we will continue to prepare our communities for events such as this in the future. And we'll be there to rebuild and help one another. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone. Have a great night.